Tim McCarver and Jim Gray, I'm Sean McDonough saying so long from Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. The final score of Game 2 of the NLCS, Atlanta 13 and Pittsburgh 5. Join CBS Sports tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Game 1 of the American League Championship Series between Oakland and Toronto. You've been watching Major League Baseball on CBS Sports, home of the 1992 World Series. Ron Gantz's first career grand slam, the big blow, as Atlanta takes a 2-0 lead over Pittsburgh in the National League Championship Series. So long, everybody, from Atlanta.
These unofficial moments in our national pastime are brought to you by the official airline of Major League Baseball, United. Come fly the friendly skies.
When you look for champions, you look to CBS Sports.
This is CBS.
Some call him tough because he won't toe the Washington line. Fiercely independent because he stands up for what he believes. Iowa's Chuck Grassley. In 1990, the Washington power brokers decided to push through a major tax increase. Chuck Grassley voted no, bucking the special interests and the Washington establishment. Chuck Grassley opposed the tax deal that raised the gas tax and increased taxes on hardworking Iowa families. Chuck Grassley, fiercely independent like Iowa.
We're celebrating 30 years.
30 years ago, Walmart went into business with one purpose: to give you everyday low prices on the things you need.
We're celebrating 30 years.
Today, we're celebrating those 30 wonderful years with special rollback prices on hundreds of items throughout the store.
We're celebrating 30 years.
But most especially, we're celebrating all the wonderful people who made these 30 years possible.
We're celebrating.
This is KCCI, TV8 in Des Moines.
President Bush turns out to applaud his North American trade treaty. Thousands of American workers are mad as hell, and we'll report to you why. A National Guard transport plane crashes into a house, the third C-130 crash this year. And more of our special Money Crunch series on health care. Tonight, how to survive the high cost of a major illness. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. Another high-risk political move for the Bush Quayle campaign today, as President Bush endorsed a controversial trade agreement in Texas. Mr. Bush flew in to watch the initialing of the new so-called free trade agreement with Mexico and Canada. The president insists the deal, at least eventually, will create jobs for Americans. But opponents say, at least in the short and medium runs, it will cost jobs, as Richard Threlkeld reports.
Last March, the big General Motors plant at Willow Run outside Detroit was going full blast, and the union auto workers were backing Jerry Brown for president. They distrusted Bill Clinton.
He's not 100% union. No, he's not.
And they were worried that a free trade agreement would export their jobs to Mexico.
I mean, when you give somebody 60 cents an hour, how can you compete against that? What are you going to sell to them? Tacos?
Today, the Willow Run plant is shut down temporarily, and next spring it's supposed to close for good. That's goodbye to 3,500 jobs.
They got skeleton crew in their maintenance, but other than that, no production at all.
President Bush and Bill Clinton have both now said the new free trade agreement will eventually mean more jobs for American workers, although Clinton's expressed some reservations about the terms. The workers we revisited are not convinced. They're scared and angry.
Where am I going to work when this law goes through and they're going to pay the Mexicans down to 68 cents an hour to work, take all these good jobs away for people over here? Where are we going to buy stuff?
And on this issue, they still have their doubts about Clinton.
I'm really concerned that he is just riding a fence on that right now, and he's not coming
down strong on one side or the other.
But most all of them will vote for Clinton anyway, given the alternatives.
George Bush couldn't care less about my class. He's in a different class of his own.
And Ross Perot, they say he's a quote, protectionist.
Yeah, but Ross Perot is a billionaire.
You know what Bush is going to do. Bush has already gutted you, and he's going to finish gutting you. So why not give Clinton a chance and hold his feet to the fire?
Maybe they think they can make a convert out of a President Clinton.
Once he gets in there and he looks at it, and he gets a little educated about the free trade, what it's going to do to us American people, I feel that he will make it fair trade.
It may well be that in the long run, the free trade agreement will be good for Americans, but the auto workers of Michigan are understandably worried about the here and now. Or as the late Lord Keynes, the British economist, once remarked, in the long run, we are all dead. Richard Threlkeld, CBS News, Ypsilanti, Michigan.
By trumpeting the ceremony in Texas today, President Bush was also looking to the political short run, Election Day. It's less than 4 weeks away. Susan Spencer is in Texas with more about that.
Mr. Bush's trip to San Antonio today is his 5th to Texas since the convention. And with every visit, he reminds his adopted home state how glad he is to see it.
I have never felt as strongly as I do now. I am proud to be a Texan. So coming back to West Texas is good for the soul. I am very proud to be back home. We are going to carry Texas.
But these days, down at Dallas's Mecca restaurant, where talk of politics often mixes with the grits and gravy, they're not at all sure about George Bush.
And I've heard that more and more than I've heard. I'm for him and I'm for him. We've heard, I don't know.
My sense is that people want to vote for Bush, but they're willing to risk a change.
I'm scared. You're scared of me.
I'm for Bush.
As for the real native son,
Mr. Perot is not one that can really decide what he wants to do, and I'm solidly for Clinton.
Slick Willie. Not even the slickest politician could out Texas Perot or the president. But astonishingly, Clinton now has a shot at Texas, which by most counts would mean curtains for Mr. Bush.
At this point, all that Bill Clinton has to do is hold on to half of the votes that he has received from Perot supporters, and he will probably win this state by, again, a narrow margin, but win it nonetheless.
Clinton's efforts have forced Mr. Bush to spend precious resources defending home turf when he desperately needs to be elsewhere. The economy, again, is the issue, so he's preached low taxes and brought in goodies, an $8 billion super collider, approval of the sale of Texas-made fighter planes. So far, the campaign, though, has little to show for it.
And most people will tell you that the state sits right about where it did September 1st. That is not a good sign for them because they have spent a ton of money on direct mail, on advertising, on phone banks in the state, and they haven't locked it up.
So the president knows he absolutely has to win Texas. Bill Clinton knows that no Democrats won the White House without it in over 100 years. Nobody knows what Ross Perot is doing, and no smart Texan is putting any money on this race, not yet. Susan Spencer, CBS News, Dallas.
The deadlock over joint presidential candidate appearances, what some call debates, appears to be over, at least for now. Ross Perot apparently will be invited to appear with President Bush and Governor Clinton at all of the presidential events. The first of the joint appearances is set for Sunday night. Still to come on the CBS Evening News, another military cargo plane crashes, raising safety questions anew about the C-130. And is our national pastime being undermined by greed?
When I was little, I was always getting caught with my hand in the cookie jar. And I still love sweet things, like Sunsweet pitted prunes. So you see, nothing's changed, except my cookie jar.
After examining, testing, it's a fact. You can buy new Preparation H hydrocortisone cream with the maximum strength available without a prescription to relieve problem itch. New Preparation H hydrocortisone cream. Prescription strength without a prescription.
When I hear the rain, I know I'm in for it. The dampness, the chill. Arthritis pain seems to come from every joint in my body. For pain like this, now instead of aspirin, I take Advil. Advil contains the same medicine my doctor often prescribes for arthritis pain. In fact,
For minor arthritis pain, doctors recommend Advil most. With Advil, I'm on my way. Advil, tablets and caplets. Advanced medicine for pain.
For the third time in 9 months, a U.S. military C-130 cargo plane has crashed with loss of life. As David Martin reports tonight, the Pentagon is asking safety questions after today's crash in the West Virginia Panhandle.
Firemen hosed down the scorched remains of what had once been a military transport plane in a two-story house, but the damage was already done. All 6 crewmen dead. Somehow, a retired railroad worker who had been sitting at the kitchen table when the C-130 plowed into his house escaped.
Well, I heard this little noise sound like a trucker going by, and directly a boom, and that was it. The fire. I ran.
The plane belonged to the West Virginia Air National Guard and had been on a routine training mission. Whatever caused it to crash happened so fast the crew never had time to send a distress signal.
While the wing was on fire, I could see that, and that was all I saw was it was a plane and the wing was on fire.
It was the third crash this year of a C-130, normally one of the safest transport planes, even though it makes a living flying people and supplies into dangerous and remote airfields in places like Sarajevo and Angola. In February, a National Guard C-130 crashed into a hotel, killing 5 crew members and 11 civilians on the ground. In April, an Air Force C-130 went down in a lake, 9 crewmen killed. Both were blamed on pilot error. But a pilot who flies C-130 says that while it is not as automated as other planes, it is not particularly difficult to handle.
It's actually a relatively easy airplane to fly, and it's fairly forgiving, even though it operates routinely in the pretty demanding environment of low-level flying in short-field landings and flying airdrop missions.
It will probably take several weeks to investigate the cause of today's crash, but already the Air Force knows this is one of the worst years the C-130 has had in a long time. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Investigators in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, today found a badly damaged black box, the flight recorder of the El Al cargo jet that crashed into an apartment complex. 40 bodies have been found out of 250 people feared dead. The chief Dutch investigator now says the Boeing 747 lost only one of its engines. Earlier reports said 2 engines had fallen off. Stay here with us now for more news, including a medical marvel, a grandmother in her 50s pregnant with twins.
What's the big rush?
Color Tile's store-wide fall blockbuster has been extended!
Up to 50% off!
DuPont Stainmaster, $10.99. Ceramic Tile, half price.
Mini blinds, 30% off!
Wall covering, $2.99.
Mannington Gold, get a big $50 rebate! Wood floors, 50% off! Hurry!
Ceramic Tile!
Armstrong floors!
Stainmaster carpet! Color Tile,
store-wide fall blockbuster, coast to coast!
Save up to 50%!
Sale ends Columbus Day.
When Jeffrey catches a cold, we see the pediatrician.
I love my pediatrician. He's my dad.
We have a live-in doctor. He recommends Dimetapp elixir.
For colds, doctors recommend Dimetapp for their families and yours.
Draw from the facts. There's a way to maintain regularity without drugs. It starts here. A high-fiber diet, which can include Kellogg's All-Bran, an excellent source of wheat bran fiber, may help you stay regular, drug-free. And there's a lot to be said for that, naturally. A high-fiber diet and Kellogg's All-Bran for drug-free regularity.
Campaign 92, the candidates with their plans for America. They come to us to talk to you. CBS This Morning with Harry Smith and Paula Zahn.
It's a debate that couldn't have happened in the old days before in vitro fertilization, the debate about older women, even women in their 50s, becoming pregnant. Bill Whitaker has the latest.
Fine. The baby's moving? Oh, they're kicking the devil out of it.
Mary Shearing is a 53-year-old postmenopausal grandmother who's about to give birth to twins. She's one of the oldest women ever to become pregnant using a new and improved in vitro fertilization process. Shearing says she wants to share the joys of childbirth with her new 32-year-old husband.
We've been married 7 years, and we wanted to raise a family. I think that Don is going to be an absolutely incredible daddy, and I wanted to experience that with him.
It's the brave new world of reproductive technology. For $10,000 to $15,000, women like Shearing, who are beyond natural childbearing years, now can be impregnated with healthy eggs from a young female donor, eggs which have been fertilized by their husband's sperm. Advanced age no longer needs to be a barrier to childbirth. The procedure is still in its infancy. There are only a handful of postmenopausal moms around, like California grandmother Joni Mosby Mitchell. She gave birth to son Morgan last March at age 52.
Age just makes it so much better. For those women that feel they can and they're healthy enough and want to do it, I say go for it.
But some experts warn that just because older women can have healthy babies like these, doesn't mean they should.
We have to think about not that a woman is 53 and going to have a baby, but what will she be like when she's 63 years old and has 10-year-old twins.
Mary Shearing says her husband will be young enough to pick up the slack in her older years. Don Shearing says for now, their ages don't matter much.
When the baby kicks, I get to feel it. And that, to me, is worth it all.
The Shearings are expecting their twins in December. Mary Shearing says she hopes other women over 50 will follow her example and use the wonders of science to experience the miracle of birth. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Coming up here next on the CBS Evening News, the money crunch. How to keep your family from going broke when you or some member of the family is hit with a catastrophic illness.
Why is the Honda Accord the best-selling car in America? Maybe it's the reliability. Maybe it's the value. Maybe it's the interior.
In tests, people who took Unisom fell asleep 23 minutes faster than those who didn't. You can't buy a more effective sleep aid without a prescription. Take Unisom and fall asleep faster.
Nighttime, one of the worst times for pain. Minor arthritis pain, muscle aches, pain that seems to go on. That's why you need Ultra Strength Bengay, the strongest Bengay ever. You can say goodnight to your pain with Ultra Strength Bengay.
I'm Brand Central Associate Gordon Little, and it's Sears Days.
Our biggest Sears Days ever, with great values throughout the store. Right now, get a terrific price on this large capacity Kenmore washer, just $249. Matching dryer, just $199. You save $60 on the pair. And this Kenmore 18 cubic foot top mount refrigerator is only $429.
All at Sears Brand Central now.
So hurry into Sears Days.
Annette Funicello. We knew her better than the girl next door till she told us something we didn't know. Her brave battle against multiple sclerosis tomorrow on CBS This Morning.
If you've been using margarine instead of butter to cut down on fats, the Agriculture Department has an update for you. Most margarines have fat too, enough to contribute to heart disease. Even so, the government says that's no reason to switch back to butter. The main thing is to eat less fat in general. All this week, the CBS Evening News is reporting to you on ways to help you get the most for your health care dollars, including insurance. Tonight, how to keep a catastrophic illness in the family from becoming a financial catastrophe. Ray Brady reports on the money crunch, health care in America.
Hi, Sherry. For Bill Hayes and his daughters, it was agony. At 40, his wife was diagnosed with a catastrophic illness, Huntington's disease. You want to go for some ice cream today? She'd need hospital care for life, an expense Bill Hayes couldn't afford and most insurers don't cover. But for Sherry Hayes to qualify for Medicaid, he was told, all but $2,000 of the couple's life savings would have to be spent. Then Bill Hayes got another shock. He didn't have to go nearly bankrupt to get Medicaid.
Public policy dictates that a family should not go bankrupt because of a catastrophic illness.
Under federal law, Bill Hayes found out, he could split the couple's assets. Sherry's half would pay the hospital, except for that $2,000, when Medicaid would take over. Bill's half, $25,000, would remain intact, leaving money for living expenses and educating the couple's daughters.
That, of course, made a huge difference in my future, my ability to carry on my life after Sherry went into the nursing home, and thus my ability to educate my children.
What's more, under the law, the couple could pay off debts with Sherry's half, so Medicaid would take over sooner.
If you have legitimate debt, credit cards, if you have a mortgage on the house, if you have other obligations, you can pay those down.
By now, you're saying to yourself, I always get solid information on medical care. Why didn't all those nursing homes and hospitals that Bill Hayes talked to, why didn't they set him straight on the financial facts? The answer, according to Bill Hayes, is money. 4 years ago, when Bill was paying, the nursing home got $120 a day. But when Medicaid took over, it had limits, paying the nursing home just $59 a day, a drop of $61 a day.
They were just, in effect, trying to steal from me, steal my life savings and my children's education from me.
But the industry says it's not our job to give financial advice.
For us to be in the financial planning business exceeds what we're capable of doing and frankly diverts us from our real work.
All this brings up the question, should Medicaid pay bills for the middle class?
Bye, Sherry.
An answer to that, and how to protect your money if a parent goes into a nursing home tomorrow night. Ray Brady, CBS News, The Money Crunch.
I use a shampoo for dandruff, but my scalp still itches like crazy.
You need Scalpicin, the revolutionary scalp medicine for deep scalp itch, not ordinary dandruff. Scalpicin is not a shampoo. It's a clear liquid you don't wash away like shampoo. Apply Scalpicin anytime for deep scalp itch relief with medicine chosen by dermatologists over all these dandruff shampoo formulas. Scalpicin penetrates to relieve the itch and help prevent flaking.
The itch is gone.
Scalpicin, the scalp medicine for deep scalp itch.
Well, it's like this. Mylanta has this great new thing called the Smart System. And now, if there's ever a problem, our copiers actually call us. Of course, the other guys are working on the same kind of gizmo.
Somebody call a cab?
But now, our Mylanta copiers tell us exactly what's wrong even before we get there. Oh, sure, the other guys are getting close.
One pepperoni and snails.
Just not close enough.
Get smart. The Mylanta Smart System at M&M Sales Company.
Imagine a rent-a-car company that offers special delivery right to your door. That's Enterprise.
Here, let me help you.
Enterprise, the special rent-a-car company that gives you special delivery.
We're in the money. We're in the money. We've got a lot. We're in the money. The skies are sunny. We've got a lot of what it takes.
With these two, what you need is patience and a lot of energy. What you don't need is irregularity. I tried some stimulant laxatives, but they can work when you least expect it, like laxative roulette. And then I remembered Metamucil. When I was pregnant, my obstetrician recommended it. She said it's a way to get the natural fiber I need to get regular and stay that way. And I feel really great. Right, sweetie?
Sunrise Smooth Metamucil. You could stay regular for the rest of your life.
It's that time of year again. Baseball playoffs have begun and the World Series is just around the corner. But there are storm clouds on the horizon. Some owners say they're having trouble making ends meet. Star players keep on signing new deals for big money. And some folks say there might not be a season at all next year because of a contract dispute. Correspondent Bob Faw tries to make sense out of all the chaos over money and baseball in tonight's Eye on America.
Gentlemen, let the match commence.
130 years ago, baseball was only a game. Then the music was spirited. Fans were stylish. Baseball was a sport.
A time when gentlemen would meet on the grass on a Sunday afternoon to play for the honor.
Play ball, gee, it's a wonderful day.
Over the years, baseball grew up, got rowdier and richer. But grown men still celebrated the game in poem.
Baseball is cigar smoke, hot roasted peanuts, ladies' day down in front. Take me out to the ball game in the Star-Spangled Banner.
Hey, let's go! But even with all that, would you believe that Major League Baseball is now singing the blues?
We have a horrible situation. There's no denying that. I think that we're in an economic crisis.
Owners insist half the teams are losing money. Despite bulging stadiums in Toronto and Baltimore, overall attendance this year slipped for the first time since 1968. Network TV ratings are down, too.
I don't ever take the time out to watch it on television.
It doesn't really grab my attention.
The front office is a mess. Squabbling owners sacked the commissioner. And labor relations are so poisoned, some owners are hinting players will be locked out of spring training.
They're not crying wolf. The problem is quite serious. In fact, I don't know that I've seen a more serious problem than I'm looking at in baseball today.
Serious largely because baseball salaries have been spiraling out of sight.
Salaries have gotten to the point where it's even I think players sometimes question certain other players making the kind of money they're making.
The average salary now a whopping $1 million a year.
Instead of 4 horsemen of the apocalypse now, we now have 5, the 5th being greed.
Can baseball continue to afford this spiral?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Don't tell players that. This Cub pitcher recently turned down a salary package worth nearly $28 million. Yes, turned it down.
I want to see what I'm worth. I want to see what the other teams feel I'm worth.
Answer, a lot. After all, one of his teammates is already getting $7 million a year, and this winter, the fellow with the earring is expected to sign for even more. Don't ask Barry Bonds, though, whether his salary demands might break the bank.
Do you worry what that might do to the game?
I don't know. You guys ask the owners.
The owners, not to be outdone, they outbid each other and agreed to pay those outlandish salaries. Baseball's owners, once described by a commissioner as greedy, short-sighted, and stupid.
They can afford to be. Players point out that this year Major League Baseball will pocket more than $1 billion.
There are profits in this industry for owners, and there have been for a century.
Thank you.
The fact is, when teams are sold, they still fetch staggering sums. Also this year, it's estimated that 6 teams will make more than $30 million.
A good businessman cries and says he isn't making money. I've heard this for 35 years. What's happening is that they're not making enough money. They're not making as much money as they think they should.
Baseball's problems would diminish, some contend, if baseball does what pro football and basketball have done, share revenues. Baseball's owners, however, have no interest in doing that.
They have to negotiate a deal which puts restraints on the system.
It's the system of baseball. The present system doesn't work. It's a nightmare. It really is.
Expect you all to behave like gentlemen.
These days it's more cutthroat. The game has changed. The question now is whether baseball can survive what it's become.
Tally me, sir.
So noted.
This is Bob Fall for Eye on America in Toronto.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson.
Baseball is live tonight on CBS. The Oakland Athletics and the Toronto Blue Jays in Game 1 of the American League playoff. Atlanta beat Pittsburgh this afternoon. Part of our world tonight. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. See you again tomorrow. Good night.
CBS News.
A year ago, Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas taught us a lot about our system. But what have we learned about ourselves? Eye on America tomorrow on the CBS Evening News. This is CBS.
Coming up next on the TV8 News, tears for a murdered teenager in Omaha today as the search goes on for her killer. Steve Oswalt with tonight's update.
Also tonight, how to travel safely during harvest time.
And take a good look. It's headed our way, eventually anyway.
Connie says rain, not snow for now. Heidi with the Braves and more. TV8 News is next.
This is a Making the Grade update.
In this month of Parents' Nights, open houses, and teacher conferences, Norwest Bank and TV8 urge parents to get involved. Hi, I'm Kevin Cooney. You know, making the grade is more than just good grades in the classroom. It's parents becoming actively involved by visiting with teachers and principals and seeing firsthand how your child is really doing in school. By getting involved, you'll be making the grade and making a difference for you and your child.
TV8 and KGGO invite you to join us for the 23rd Annual Hunger Hike, Sunday afternoon, October 11th at 1:30. Hike the 10K route to show your concern or collect pledges to raise money to fight hunger here in Iowa and across the world. Plus, this year there are special activities for children through age 8 at Hawthorne Hill. All hikers are encouraged to bring canned or other non-perishable food items on hike day for the Des Moines Area Religious Council's Emergency Food Pantry. Call 279-1106 for more information on how you can help fight hunger.
You're watching today's TV8. And this is News Now. This is TV8 News at 6.
Family and friends of a 17-year-old Omaha high school student bid a silent farewell at her funeral today. Good evening. Thanks for being with us. I'm Sue Mason.
And I'm Kevin Cooney. Kenyatta Bush was found dead in Omaha last weekend. Authorities still looking for her attacker. TV8's Steve Oswalt has been following the story. He joins us from the newsroom now. Steve, I understand thousands on hand to say goodbye to Kenyatta Bush today.
Thousands were there, Kevin. In fact, so many they couldn't all fit inside the church. Among them, family members stricken with grief, hundreds of friends, and many of Kenyatta's fellow high school students who were excused from classes today to attend the funeral of their homecoming queen.
With the words of their daughter's eulogy fresh in their minds, Kenyatta's mother Barbara, here in the black dress, and Kenyatta's stepfather Laverne Stennis were leaving for the cemetery. Pastor William Barlow describing Kenyatta as a woman
whose life not only impacted black folk, not just white folk, but all of God's people.
Kenyatta's partially decomposed body was found here along a bike trail last weekend. She had been missing for about 2 weeks. The autopsy could not confirm the time or the exact date of her death. But today, 4,000 people turned out in the cold and drizzle. There were so many, in fact, some couldn't even get inside.
Kenyatta could have been anyone's child, from any culture, any background. So in one sense, she's really everyone's child. And I think it's important to show our respect for that.
A private firm provided security as the body of the 17-year-old homecoming queen of Omaha's North High School was loaded into the hearse. She would have been the focus of attention at the homecoming dance Saturday. Today, she was the focus of attention in a way she never imagined.
Now that the funeral is over, Omaha police will become the focus of attention as they continue searching for the person responsible for the crime. Today, they told us that they have issued no search warrants or arrest warrants in the case, but they did recover some evidence at the place where they found her body last week. Kevin?
All right, Steve, as you know, we've been reporting that a number of Omaha women have turned up missing about the same time as Kenyatta. Now, do authorities believe that Kenyatta's death is related to these other disappearances?
Well, Kevin, they're not saying much about that, but they are hinting at this point that at least they do not believe that's the case at this point. Kevin?
All right, thanks a lot. Steve Oswalt in the newsroom. Back here closer to home, 4 Iowa State University workers were hurt this morning when a steam valve ruptured inside an underground tunnel. The accident was around 11:30 this morning. Plant operator Pat Foley and steam fitter Morris Phipps are in fair condition at a Des Moines hospital tonight. They're being treated for their burns. Engineer Clark Thompson and steam fitter Willie Williams were treated for burns and released. Now, the men were working in a steam tunnel on the west side of the ISU power plant when a steam line ruptured. The accident shut down steam to some campus buildings for about an hour today.
A home in Des Moines' Sherman Hill neighborhood was damaged by a fire today. Investigators say the cause appears suspicious. Damage is estimated at $10,000 to the Leslie Wilson home at 1508 Pleasant Street in Des Moines. Firefighters arrived to find the house engulfed in flames, and they say the fire appeared to have been deliberately set in 2 places. Fire remains under investigation.
Well, you may have noticed them already. It is harvest time, and there are lots of those orange, triangle-clad, slow-moving farm vehicles on the roads these days. Steve Carlin tells us now that it's time to slow down, be patient, and share the roads with Iowa farmers.
If you don't keep an eye out for slow-moving farm vehicles this fall, this could happen to you. This accident happened Saturday. Luckily, no one was seriously injured, but if the truck driver had obeyed the tractor's turn signal, it could have been avoided. Phil Broderick of Waukee says farmers know following a slow tractor pulling a heavy load is no fun.
It's a hazard to the cars, I'm sure, but we try to do the best we can to stay out of their way and speed up and put signals on everything.
The Iowa Department of Transportation says gauging your ability to see when approaching curves, hills, and intersections will help you better share the roads with farm vehicles this harvest season. When coming up on a farm vehicle from behind, you should always start slowing down well in advance. Leave the farmer plenty of room and always give the traffic behind you plenty of time to adjust their speed. Most importantly, never assume you know what the other vehicles will do.
We don't want to be on the road any more than we have to. It isn't a matter of choice for us. We have to get the grain to market, and this is the way we have to do it.
Farmers ask that when you see them on the road, please be careful, but above all else, be patient. Because if the harvest continues to go the way it's gone already, they're only going to be out here for about another month anyway. Steve Carlin, TV8 News.
Well, the proof is in tonight when it comes to summer weather. It doesn't get any, well, cooler than this. State experts say 1992 was the coldest summer in Iowa since records have been kept. For July through September, the statewide average temperature was 4.5 degrees below normal. No days above 100 in most places, and no days even above 90 anywhere in the state last month. Experts say the cool summer makes it only slightly more likely we'll see a colder fall or winter. The first signs of winter are falling in the upper elevations west of Iowa. Several inches of snow falling in western South Dakota. Snow also reported in parts of Wyoming, Nebraska, and in the mountains of Colorado. All from the cold front that's supposed to bring rain to much of the state.
Now, Connie tells us that front still has the state of Iowa split in two. Connie?
It's the same old front. In fact, it's almost the same old rain. It's just moving very, very slowly. Rain isn't really in a very much different area from yesterday. It's advanced, about 50 miles to the east. They said this would be a slow-moving front. It certainly is. We'll still see a very good chance of showers over the next 48 hours, though. More weather later in the news.
All right, thanks, Connie. And next on the TV8 News, jackpot fever hits Iowa.
Iowans are vying for $22 million in Powerball. I'm Martin Augustine. I'll have a live report coming up next.
I've always wondered exactly what she does in there.
Neutrogena products are now 30% off at Target.
She's usually pretty quiet, except for maybe an occasional chorus of Moon River.
For instance, Neutrogena shampoo and conditioner are just $3.49 each.
I'd like to think she does it all for me, but I think she does it for herself, too.
For the health of your hair, the glow of your skin, for him, for you. Neutrogena now 30% off at Target.
Well, hello there.
Hi. My name is Gianna Jessam, and I was never born. I was aborted. You see, my mother chose to abort me when she was 7 months pregnant, but by some miracle, I survived. I weighed 2 pounds and was raised in an incubator, and I've had many difficult operations. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about choice these days, but for me, the most beautiful choice is life.
First, we gave you the attractive Jeep Cherokee Sport, but you said,
more. Give me more.